Good day, grade 5. Welcome to our science class. I am Teacher Joey, your virtual teacher for today. Today, class, we will travel to another lesson in science. I know and I am sure that you are all excited for another fun-filled learning activities for today. So let us now begin. But wait, class, before we start our discussion, try to find a nice and comfortable place inside your home where you can focus with your lesson. I want you to prepare yourself as well as your materials necessary for your study. Kindly bring out your pen and paper so that you could jot down some important notes needed for your learning. Always remember, class, that having knowledge is having a power. Today, we will learn about the properties of matter when applied to heat, physical and chemical change. Let's observe these pictures. What can you see in the figures above? How will you describe it? What is common among them? If you say change, then you are correct. As the saying goes, the only constant in this world is change. Everything changes. Have you ever asked yourself how materials change? How does matter change when applied with heat? When matter is heated enough, its molecules move faster with great energy. It is like watching an ice cube in your palm that becomes smaller until it melts, or a boiling water that turns into a steam. Or when you tear a piece of paper, the paper changes in shape. Or when ice is introduced to heat, it will eventually melt and turn to water. So in this lesson, it will help you understand better how materials undergo changes due to heat and oxygen. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate physical change from chemical change. You will be able to investigate changes that happen in materials under the following. The first one is through the presence or lack of oxygen and application of heat. Last meeting we discussed about the usefulness and harmfulness of materials. So this time, let's play a game. All you need to do is to identify what property is being described. Are you ready? Let's start. It is the ability of the material to break easily. It has 11 letters. It starts with letter B and ends with letter S. What is the word? You're right. It is brittleness. Let's proceed now to item number 2. It is the ability of a material to stretch and return to its original shape. It has 10 letters. It starts with letter E and ends with letter Y. Can you identify the word? Very good. That is elasticity. Let's now proceed to item number 3. It is the ability of a material to resist pressure that may cause deformation. It has 8 letters. It starts from letter H and ends with letter S. What word it is? You're right. It is hardness. Let's now proceed to item number 4. It is the ability of a material to be decomposed by microorganisms. It has 16 letters. It starts with letter B and ends with letter Y. If your answer is biodegradability, awesome! You're right! Let's now proceed to the last item. It is the ability of a material to allow heat and electricity to pass through. It has 12 letters. It starts with letter C and ends with letter Y. Can you identify the word? Excellent! That is conductibility. So brittleness class, elasticity, hardness, and conductibility are examples on how we can describe the physical properties of matter, while biodegradability is an example of under the chemical property of matter. These materials can be related to changes that material undergo. So let's discuss more about the difference between the physical and chemical change. Physical change is a materials retain its identity and no new substance are formed. As material undergo physical change, its physical properties like size, shape, and phase are usually changed, meaning the materials are still the same. So just like for example in apple, so these changes are directly observed like when you cut or slice an apple. These are changes in shape and size of an apple, but the material is still the same. Aside from cutting, there are also other processes that cause changes in the materials. These include bending, dissolving, boiling, shredding, and melting. The breaking of glass into pieces is also an example of physical change. Change in the state of matter from solid to liquid or from liquid to gas is also an example. Let's discuss further about these changes in state of matter. So, in your previous grade level, you already know the phases of matter, which is the solid, the liquid, and the gas. This time, let's now proceed the changes of state. What is the process when a solid turns to liquid, liquid turns to gas, and gas turns to solid? The first one, changes of state, is what you call melting. It is a change from solid to liquid. Just like for example, the melting of an ice, melting of an ice cream, melting of a butter, and melting of chocolate. Those are examples of what you called melting. Next process or change of state is what you called evaporation. It is a change from liquid to gas. Just like for example, when you drink coffee, the smoke on your coffee is evaporation. When there is what you call the boiling of water, when you're drying your clothes under the sun, that is example of what you call evaporation. Next process is what you call deposition. Deposition, it is a change from gas to solid. Just like for example, a water vapor into ice. So the water vapor transformed directly into ice without becoming a liquid, a process that often occurs on windows during winter months. Next process is what you call sublimation. It is a change from solid to gas. Just like for example, air freshener, mothballs. Those are examples of what you call sublimation. Next process is what you call condensation. Condensation, it is a change from gas to liquid. Just like a morning dew, just like when moisture in the air condense on the window or cooled during the night, or a droplets of water on your can of soda or water. And then the last one process is what you call solidification. It is a change from liquid into gas. Just like for example, an ice cube. So let's now proceed to chemical change. Can be identified when one substance reacts with another substance, forming a new substance. If you observe that apple changes from whitish to brownish colors, then it undergoes chemical change. The oxygen which is introduced in the surface of the apple releases the free radicals in an oxidation process. This turns apple into brown color. The material undergoes chemical change. There are substances in an apple that combines with oxygen and causes the browning of an apple. So, aside from that, metals such as iron rust when exposed to oxygen. Rusting occurs when surface of the metals or it allows such as steel will corrode in the presence of water. So yung kalawang pala, yung kalawang na yan, that is already a new substance. So it means that is in a chemical change. Next one is water is a compound that is made up of oxygen and hydrogen. The presence of oxygen causes rusting of an iron. So pag nagsama yung oxygen and hydrogen is magkakaroon ng reaction, that is why yung mga metals ay nagkakalawang. So aside from that, there are other processes that causes chemical change. These are burning, cooking, rusting, and rotting. So cooking and burning involves the application of heat. This causes the materials to change in their state and composition. When this happens, a new materials and different properties of products are formed. Just like for example in cooking, pag nagluluto ka ng itlog, yung itlog it's a liquid form. And then pag prinito mo siya by means of the heat, kaya mo pa kayang ibalik yung napritong itlog into liquid? So definitely no. So that is a chemical change. Just like also in burning, when you're burning wood, what is the new substance formed? There is a formation of what you call ashes. Another example is when you have a baking soda and a vinegar. So the reaction that happen to the baking soda and vinegar produces carbon dioxide. Originally, it can be seen as a bubbles in the solution. So this activity has a change in composition. A new substance is formed in the presence of bubbles. This called chemical change. Physical and chemical change are around us. This change can happen in our environment, body, and even in the daily products that we use. I know you are now ready for our assessment. Read each item carefully and choose the letter of the correct answer.